Okay, so I had a conversation earlier this week with a couple of different people that are NFL folks. I want to reiterate that Nolan Smith has really had a good, well, I don't know what this is called, like the run up to the combine. He hasn't really had a very good run up to the combine. And just a couple of notes and stories about Nolan, excuse me, in his time getting to and then while he was at Georgia and beyond. I think, first of all, let me just say a couple of things that were said to me was that Nolan. So these guys sometimes, what happens is they train in particular areas, and Nolan Smith was essentially, excuse me, gosh, essentially what happened was Nolan Smith came in and was the ringleader for the group that he trained with. Okay, kind of came in right away, and for lack of a better term, and I'm sorry for the French, but he was there was no bullshit. He was straight up, grinding it out. So I've always liked Nolan. Whether or not I liked him or not is irrelevant to this discussion. But it's not surprising that someone who has been as good over time as he has is having the sort of impact that he has here lately. On the field in Jacksonville that night in October, just before Halloween, I didn't notice Nolan. I didn't realize, when you're on the field, you don't see everything, and you can't know that guys get hurt sometimes, and sometimes you see it and hear it in a way that other people don't because you're right there. I did not realize Nolan was hurt and he was not playing in the game. I was wondering where he was, but I didn't know that he had gotten hurt. And I think the conversation that he had with Kirby Smart um, about what he would do during the end of the 22 season was a very important one and really shed light onto who Nolan Smith is and has always been. I'll get back to that in a second. The important, remember that Nolan's from Savannah. He played at IMG, which is where we watched him play in Florida. Um, but he's always considered himself, and I understand this completely. He's from Georgia. He's from Savannah. He has a lot of pride about that, etc. And so we got a chance to watch Nolan a lot, just because of how often IMG played. Matt DeBerry saw him, I think, not fewer than a couple of times. He saw him play in Pittsburgh. I feel like Matt flew up there for that. Wow. Because I was in either Louisiana. I can't remember, but I remember walking. I think I was watching John. Um, I can't remember his last name. He's the LSU running back. And we were trading notes about the guys we had seen that night. And John Emery, I think. Now I'm not totally. I'm in my own space right now, but Matt felt like Nolan was a really really good player. And then, Nolan's decision to come back, to me, I really think that was the right call. Now, he got hurt, so he did not participate in the last, you know, I don't know, 6 games of the season, whatever it was. So he missed out on the Tennessee game. He missed out on playing the SEC championship game. Um, he missed out on, playing against Ohio State, and they really could have used him against Ohio State. But I've always felt like Nolan has been an adult in the room, has been a leader, someone that Georgia will miss on that front. And he'd like to talk too, but yeah, when you're talking to the folks that are NFL people, they are pretty well convinced that after these last couple of months, about 3 months or so, that Nolan will be a first round guy, almost for sure. And that what happened at the combine really pinned that in. Now, I know a lot of people have had that opinion here lately, but it further nails it in for me when you hear people who are, been in the league for a while say that. Now, again, with the NFL, you never really know what's reality. But the folks I talk to, I've known for, a couple of decades almost at this stage. So but it's not surprising that Nolan would be someone who's surging because he's going to do every little thing right. Um, he was not an irreplaceable person on the field. I think that you saw the level from him to Chaz Chambliss. It did drop, but it wasn't. I think I think that goes to this point, which is that the program is not about any one player. So that Nolan got hurt and didn't play. It did hurt Georgia. It just didn't sink them. But Kirby's conversation with Nolan, because Nolan was going to go just get ready for the NFL draft, and just my perspective, that would be an abnormally boring process for almost 5 months. You'd have all of November, you'd have all of December, and then all of January, February, and the bulk of March to be prepared for NFL, to get ready for the combine as well as individual workouts. You'd also be getting ready for the draft, whatever that may be. Uh, that would really be boring, particularly if your guys were kind of on a journey, like that. You can pick up double dogs down below, and I just, Nolan decided to stay. I think that was the right call. Um, I don't know what it's like to be Nolan Smith, but I know what it's like to watch Nolan, and he's got a lot of energy, and that energy would be displaced. There's no way that you can just concentrate on yourself for 4 months and it be the same as being around a team. I mean, when you're with a team, you are part of something bigger than yourself. You are. I mean, Nolan was a leader for that team, um, and now we're seeing the likelihood of him going, middle to late first round. And now, no one thinks he's going to go in the top, 10 or something like that. But Georgia. So the other thing to point out here is you've got Nolan Smith coming back for a season, just like Devontae Wyatt did. And if Nolan Smith goes in the first round, like folks think he will, you've got a track record now. I mean, it's beyond just, oh, this just happened. No, this is multiple times that Georgia has asked, or Georgia players, really, important Georgia players who are sort of figuring out if they should leave or come back, and have come back and matured into first round guys. Jalen Carter was almost always going to be a first round guy. I have to tell you, I was not certainly convinced that Nolan Smith would be a first round guy. Not like that's not my area of expertise, but I can read. And it didn't necessarily look like that was going to be the case for Nolan. But boy, I mean, coming back and sort of locking it in, that is a lot. I mean, we talked earlier today when we were doing Riding Home about Jalen Carter's very possibly losing millions of dollars because of the arrest that he had, and because every single pick in the NFL draft matters in terms of money. Well, it's going to cost Jalen some money. Well, Nolan picked up some money for sure because if you're in the first round, that's a protected draft pick. I mean, you could be, it's a 5-year contract. They can franchise you for the sixth. We're seeing this with Lamar Jackson right now. So, if you get drafted middle to late in the first round, you're going to be a priority for that franchise. You may, in theory, get to a second contract quicker, particularly if you play well. So, you're going to be given an opportunity because the franchise has sunk a lot of money into you. They're not going to give, fifth, sixth round guys a lot of opportunity. I mean, it has to be blatantly obvious that they're really getting it done. That doesn't happen very often. Let's just be honest. Most of the NFL is top 3 round picks. So, and particularly first round guys. So Nolan has got a great opportunity in front of him. People that I talk to that are inside the NFL, around the league, he has really helped himself. I mean, it's been a really good run for Nolan Smith Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the website.